And we're on in 5, 4, 3.
Welcome to the Hollywood Hustle Podcast Spectacular. I'm Jordan Sherman. We're on my Facebook right now. This is Tom Bates over here.
Yo soy Tomás Pates.
Oh, Bates.
Trying to fit in around here, okay?
It's hard to do, man. So what's going on, man?
Well, it's 420, baby.
Woo!
Happy holidays to all you pot-smoking degenerates out there.
You lazy sacks of
I
shit.
don't know if you can see it. I kind of got like pot leaves on my shirt, but it's not really pot leaves.
No,
so when
it's like tentacles.
it looks like tentacles, but it like upon further examination, it's got the cannabis looking thing going.
Yeah.
So I'm not one of those dudes that buys like pot leaf things, you know? And I think the shirt actually backfired on me once because I did a show and I invited this girl and I really liked her shoes. She's, oh my God, she's so sweet. She's so pretty, like totally bring home to mom type. And I wore this shirt at my show and then I was like, oh shit. She probably thinks I'm like a dude that wears stoner clothing.
Yeah,
Damn it.
That's at best. At worst, you're into tentacle stuff.
I don't care. This looks, like little Keith Richards. It's Top Man, man. It's British.
It is dope.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm a fan.
Cool.
I just bought a jacket from Top Man that's got fronds on it, and it's pretty sick.
Oh, yeah, you'll have to show me that. Dude, they make good stuff.
Yeah.
I like Top Man. Cool. So, what's going on with Joe?
We can stay on the 420 for a minute.
Okay.
All right? So there's because there's been a lot of shifts in our country of how it's being looked at and by the law and just at the general population at large. And I just read something today about Colorado and all the crime that's been going up in the state since the legalization.
Really?
Yes, which is something that nobody wants to hear, including myself, because I'm a big proponent of weed because I think it should be a grown adult's choice to be able to do that and not get arrested for it.
Yeah.
But because there's only a few places that really are full-on legal, it actually, they're trying to figure out what the correlation is because there's no real correlation, right? Other than the fact that they assume that it's because there's transients who are looking for places to live and just are like, well, that's my spot, because there's potential for, there still is an illegal drug market, unfortunately. So there's just, when there's more product moving around, there's people who would never be able to get a job in any other field who are kind of gravitating towards it. And they're just the transient types who are more likely to cause both violent crimes, but mostly just theft is the thing that's happening a lot.
Yeah, you got to pay for that dro addiction.
That dro.
Yeah. I mean, in weed these days, good Lord, is it strong.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
legit.
good Lord. It's like an acid trip. You take one hit off of a loosely rolled joint and you're in like, some fucking psychedelic Beatles music video or something
Straight
like
to
that.
Pluto. Yeah.
Yeah. Good God. Yeah, because I remember, people in our parents' generation, they had what we would think is like rat weed, and they would just, smoke a joint. They smoke the spliffs.
Yeah, it's like a coffee.
Yeah, and they're chilling. They're chilling. Now these days, you see people stoned, they're just looking off into the distance, like totally vegging out off this, this devil weed.
It's the weed, but then a lot of people take it that step further and do the dabs and the oils, that really concentrated shit.
Yeah, I like dabs. They're good.
If you are trying to go on a journey of the mind, yeah.
Well, I mean, my thing is, I would never want to do one that's like a jawbreaker sized dab. I just a touch.
Because they actually are very tasty, right? Like,
dude,
yeah.
I like the way they taste.
Yeah.
Is that weird? I don't know.
No, it
can't be the only one.
Because there's not as much actual burning going on. Like, so you're not tasting smoke as much as you're tasting the actual concentrated oil.
Yeah, it can't be good for your lungs though. It's literally tar.
Nothing's good for your lungs that involves high temperatures. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh fuck. Living in LA is probably not very good for your lungs. You see all the Asian folks walking around with those dental masks. Like that's gonna fucking do something.
Yeah. Like should I be doing that though? Is the question. Must I leave the house with full masks?
I don't know. It creeps me out.
It is so creepy.
Yeah. Quick, kind of dabby 420 related story. So when I was moving from Hollywood to Santa Monica, my lease didn't start for like a week after I was out of my apartment in Hollywood. So I needed to find a place to live. So I get a last minute Airbnb. I'm talking like 2 hours before I moved in for a week, this guy put his place up on Airbnb, like total noob. And it was $30 a night in Venice. And I'm like, all right, whatever, just staying there for a week. So I get there and it's like little 1-bedroom place, kind of cool looking. And the guy's just like, yeah, I left the key under the doormat, so just like let yourself in. I'm like, okay, this guy's like a total fucking hippie, right?
It's like a hostel you're about to stay at.
Yeah. And so anyway, so this kid, I'm like in my room or whatever, in the room, like sitting on the bed, reading a book. I like to read, and probably Machiavelli or something. And there's a knock on the window. It's just like, Tom, you in there? I'm like, yeah, who the fuck are you? And he's like, it's me, Vincent. I'm your Airbnb host. I locked myself out. So I'm like, oh God, what a great first impression. So everything that followed was totally in line with that first impression. So he proceeds to like kind of hang out and talking. This kid was such a stoner. He made James Franco and Pineapple Express look like Leonardo DiCaprio in Wolf of Wall Street. Like, this kid was just stoned out to the max. Like, his face was like drooping and everything because he's so high. His skin can't even remain stuck to his bones. Yes, he was doing that a lot. Okay, so here's the interesting part about the story. So we get to talk and he's like, you smoke, man? And I was like, yeah, sure. And so he's like, all right, check this out. So he opens the door to his room and he has shelving, 6 shelves on each wall, 3 walls on the room. Boom, shelving. All with pieces.
Oh my God.
He had $20,000 worth of head shop in his bedroom. And just dab, because they come in the little dab containers. Yep. Just like those all over the floor, like a mountain
torches
of them.
everywhere.
Torches everywhere. I mean, it looked like some kind of meth house.
That's some crackhead shit, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he just had, I've never seen anything like that in my life.
Like,
yeah.
Fortunately for this guy, weed does exist. Because imagine him on anything else at that level of, like, that's commitment to the addiction, you know? Like,
oh, yeah.
That's a whole nother level. And that's, like, the worst case that people always, like, cite and reference when they're like, lazy stoners don't do anything. All they do is get high all day. And it's like, the majority, that's not true. But there is that dude.
There's Vinny.
But that dude could still run an Airbnb. Not well. But
no, he didn't run it very well.
But he's running it, and he's like a nice enough dude. Where that's the thing about like people who get all cranked out. It doesn't make you nicer or like able to hang out with like just normal people. Like it just kind of makes you. Where's the next thing? And other drugs take you so much more than weed does. Even when weed does grab people like that, he's not very useful. He's kind of the opposite.
He's a nice enough kid.
Exactly.
He didn't freaking rob me.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a different thing, for sure.
Yeah. Although I did see a YouTube video once of a woman on crystal meth, and she was really nice. She was like very hospitable. She's like offering people things out of her very broken down used Toyota Celica.
Dude, you hear about, like when I read Eric Clapton's biography.
Yeah.
He was on heroin for years, and nobody wanted to interfere because he was still like the sweetest, nicest guy ever. They go to his house and he's all heroined out and he's like, "Hey guys," like just sweet. So nobody knew what to do because they didn't want to be a dick to him because he was still like himself, even though he was like eventually gonna peter off, you know. But it was like for a long time they're like, "Oh, that's just Eric. He's high as fuck all the time, but he's super nice."
Yeah, I remember reading that excerpt from his autobiography, and there was a line like, "And when I was doing heroin, all I ate was chocolate, and I got quite fat."
He's an interesting guy, like because you hear about the way that shit takes people too, where they're not even themselves anymore, and
nothing takes people like that.
Yeah.
But
for him, it was just an extension of him, and there are some people who are like just hella stable, and they introduce substance to the equation. It's just like, oh, that's just them on that, you know?
Yeah.
And then other people, it just completely grabs them and takes them to that disgusting, terrible, terrifying place.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's crazy. Like in Southern California, you've got homeless people on the street shooting heroin, and you've got billionaires in high rises shooting heroin.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's crazy.
Pretty interesting.
Anyway, but yeah, that wraps up the 420 segment. So happy holidays, kids. Don't drive, okay? Don't get high and drive. Have a just get an Uber, okay? Get an Uber or a Lyft.
Just take a walk.
Yeah,
It's nice out.
take a walk.
Yeah.
There you go. Speaking of it, it is nice out here. Finally.
Yep.
It was windy and cold, and I didn't like it.
Probably worse over by you too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
by the beach.
Dude, but I almost don't want to end the 420 topic just yet because I feel like we both could have like some pretty funny first experiences on weed.
Okay,
stories.
yeah. Forgive me for unilaterally calling that. This is a partnership here. So yeah, go ahead. I do have a really good one because
Okay.
I have a theory that I want to run by you. But go
All
ahead.
right. So I was pretty anti-drug, not just drug, but just like I didn't want to smoke for sure because I sang and I just was like, I don't want to fuck with my voice. I was serious. I've always been pretty serious about what I wanted out of my life, right? And drugs didn't really fit into that for a long time. So, and neither did drinking. So I didn't start drinking till I was 21 in Canada with all my roommates and shit. And they were all crazy stoners and they was just around me all the time, but I never, for 3 years, didn't even feel like I wanted to try it. And then J-Mac, if you're watching, J-Mac made some really bomb brownies. And with that BC bud, you know, like
Wow. Yeah, that stuff is
And,
crazy.
they made tiny little brownies, dude.
Just brownie bites,
Yeah, and
like you have at a bridal shower.
they're like, you might want to have half. I'm like, no, come on,
Yeah.
whatever. But
You learned a
they
valuable
didn't even-
lesson.
But they didn't even really care because they're just like, it's gonna be funny either way.
Oh,
you know?
God.
And I ate it. It tasted like pure weed. It did not even taste like a bit of a brownie. And I'm like, oh, you know, it'd be great if I had some like Kraft mac and cheese to choke down after I get super baked, right? And I'm making it, and it starts to kick in about 15 minutes, and I'm almost done making it. And I'm like getting light on my feet, and my head's starting to spin, and I'm like trying to stir this cheese and butter into the Kraft, and I'm like, and then I finally get it into this bowl, and I sit down and I start manically laughing because I'm staring into this bowl of macaroni, and it just looks like a bunch of tits. Like I saw just a bowl full of boobs for whatever reason.
Huh.
And then I'm laughing, and then I couldn't feel my hands. And anybody who was there probably thinks this is hilarious. I'm like, my hands, I started freaking the fuck out, and I thought I was gonna die. And
Oh God.
and then they're watching cartoons. Nobody's even like acknowledging the fact that I'm like thinking I'm gonna die. And I sit on the couch and I'm trying with all of my might to move my hand, and I can't. I'm just like
Oh.
just paralyzed. And I'm like, this is it. This is how I died. And it went from like being super manic, like the most fun for about 10 minutes I've ever had in my life, to like 3 hours of torture. And then I'm just like pretty much just nodding off, just like. Finally, I get to the point where I'm like, oh, I snapped out of it for just long enough that I'm like, I gotta go, guys. And I live next door. So I like crawled up my stairs to my room where I just got into the fetal position and slept it off. But the next day I was still insanely baked, going to class just like, and I didn't touch it for 6 months after that because it terrified me. I'm like, how do you guys do this? But little did I know that, you know, eating it is a lot different than smoking it. And also, you know, you get used to it. Like it's mostly the unknown side of it that gets you so fucked up more than the actual effect of it, you know?
Yeah.
So that was my story and for a long time I was the my hands guy. So it's pretty bad.
These hands, they are my own.
My
Theirs,
hands.
not yours. They are... You and Jewel.
Hands. Yeah, that's pretty much how it sounded too.
Man, well, you know what? That was part and parcel, you know, due to the eating of the brownie.
Yeah.
And I know the way stoners are, they think that everyone has the same amount of knowledge that they have on this. And people are like, well, dude, why'd you eat a brownie the first time? You should have hit one hitter. Like,
Yeah.
dude, you're speaking fucking code. I have no idea what you're talking about, you know? But, Yeah, if you take an edible and you start feeling it in 15 minutes, you're in for a hell of a ride. Yeah, that ain't going to be any kind of fun.
Yeah.
And man, I remember my first experience with BC Bud. This isn't my story, but this is a quick BC Bud. So I went to Vancouver with my mother and my brother, and we went, I think July 1st or July 3rd is Canada Day. And on the steps of Vancouver or City Hall, they have a giant weed market, and they're selling like big joints, everything imaginable under the sun in every form. And so I was like, you know, I'm like, do you care, Mom? If she's like, no, you're in Canada, do your thing. Just, hey, it's BC Bud, look out. I'm like, all right. So there's a fireworks show that night. And so we got some brownies, and my brother and I got a couple joints. So we go to this fireworks show, and we had eaten a brownie, and it wasn't kicking in. Like 45 minutes, we were just chilling, and we had all, you know, smoked a lot before that. So so we bust out the joint, and we're smoking it, pass it back and forth. My mom turns around, looks at us, she shakes her head, and we smoked that whole joint to the face. Dude, I was levitating. I was going up. I was physically trying to keep myself on the ground. I was floating up into the fireworks. Oh man, that was intense. And then after the fireworks, they opened up this gate, and there was like this stampede, and everybody was running up to the waterfront where they were shooting off the fireworks. There was like this stampede, and I was really high, and my brother's really high, and we were fucked up, and it was frightening. But then we went to get a drink at a really nice hotel, and they had these high back chairs, and we just like sank into the chair like we're on morphine or something.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dude,
so
that shit's serious, man.
yeah, BC Bud's no joke. So my theory that I told you about.
Yeah.
So I have this theory that the craziest, most unbelievable shit happens when you're high. There's something about it that the universe is like, I'm going to fuck with you.
Let's test them. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm telling my buddy in college about it, and we used to do we called them Jeebs, gravity bong hits.
Oh yeah.
I took like you take like one of those little like bathroom trash cans, you cut a water bottle in half and put a drill bit in the cap, and then the gravity pushes the smoke up when you light it, and you take these massive hits. So we used to do that and play catch in the street in front of my apartment, and this is when I was playing baseball. So we take a gravity bong here. We're like, dude, let's go hit. Let's go down to the park and hit. And because baseball is really fun when you're high. And
most activities actually are.
Yeah. But hitting a baseball is just unbelievable. It's like, whoa, look at it go.
Yeah. And the mechanics, just like any reps, just feels so good.
Yeah. And so we're driving down this park in Melbourne, and I was telling him, like, you know, Drew, the weirdest shit happens when you're high. He's like, really? I mean, is it like a correlation, or you just high so much that when weird shit happens, you just happen to be high? I'm like, no, Drew, the weirdest shit happens when you're high. See? And as I'm saying that, I point to this woman. We're driving down the road. She's wearing a trench coat. She's like a homeless lady. We're driving down the road. Boom, we look at her. She pulls up her trench coat. She's not wearing any underwear and starts pissing on the sidewalk. And I'm like, see?
There you go.
Told you.
Yeah, well, I think, one, you're definitely more aware. Like, you're just more sensitive to stimulus, period, when you're baked. So, like, you probably notice more than you would otherwise. That's step one in this theory being true.
Yeah.
And then step two, I think you are right. It's just like your response is going to be a little less clear, you know? So it's like it stands out more, too, because it's just like you have to think on your feet, and you're just not prepared. You're prepared to do the thing that you thought you were going to do, which was hit baseballs, and that's it. And when new shit comes at you, it's just like, how do I react? I don't know what to do. I'm stoned.
Yeah, I mean, to this day, I still haven't seen a homeless person just lift up their, undergarment to start pissing on the sidewalk. I'm not going to tell the story, but I have seen homeless people doing other things in public.
Jerking off, throwing feces.
The first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's LA, man. Thanksgiving morning.
Oh.
It was really
That's a great way to start your day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was nice. Did a little hike, was walking back, and there's some homeless dude wanking it right on La Brea. Like on a main thoroughfare in a metropolis, and just nothing happens, of course. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think now we can leave the 420
wrapped up
to rest.
on the weed. Okay, good.
But just real quick, it's kind of been a weird week or two for untimely deaths.
Yeah.
And the first one is my buddy Mike just texted me, but Avicii just died, and they're not sure why, but I'm sure it has to do with partying too much. I'm not sure, but I'm guessing because that's that whole world that he lives in. But while we're on, I want to take this is kind of, I don't know if this is the best for our program right now, but I want to take it just a moment because a tragedy happened on my street in Pompano this week.
Oh, really?
The owners of this bar, Chit Chats Lounge, crazy fucking thing happened, and the rumor, nothing's confirmed yet because they're trying to make sure that while the case is still open, they're not like giving all kinds of info about it, but it appears that the husband murdered the wife, and they found a body in the house. My street's been a crime scene all week. Some crazy shit, and she was the sweetest person ever, and like my memories of them are like me mowing the grass and with my headphones on, and I'd be singing, and she'd come over and comment about, oh, it's great to hear you singing while you're mowing the lawn, like the whole street could hear me singing, and she's just like a really, really sweet person, and to hear that news was like super fucking shocking, and
it's sad.
and it hurts, but I just wanted to take a moment to recognize how amazing this person was.
Yeah, no, that's totally cool. And then Avicii was 28, man. Yeah, young. I mean, hey, I guess it's better to burn out than fade away. Whatever, but also Arlie Ermy passed this past week, and for those of you that don't know, you do know him. He is the drill sergeant in Full Metal Jacket, and he has come up with the most creative insults mankind had ever seen. So he died this past week, and I was actually watching Full Metal Jacket at the time of his death.
Whoa.
Ironically, yeah.
You watched that movie too much.
No, this is like this is only the second time I've watched. I watched specific scenes.
I got you.
Yeah. So
that's a great flick, man. And that guy.
Oh yeah, Stanley Kubrick. Wow.
Yeah. Fucking crazy though, and it's just. There's these periods, and I know people die every day, so it's not like that. But for whatever reason, in your stratosphere, like certain deaths seem to come in waves. It's kind of weird, but you'll get hit with a bunch at once, and it's just like fuck.
Yeah, no, it's tragic. Enjoy your lives. People don't get too caught up in the rat race. Even though we are the Hollywood hustle, we still don't get too caught up in the hustle.
Because we're hustling with creative endeavors, which is deeply gratifying. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. So you played the Satellite on Friday?
Dude, yeah.
Tell me about it.
Decent turnout. We had like 45 people show up.
Cool.
Which on a Coachella weekend's pretty good.
Oh yeah, Coachella.
Yeah, a lot of people were gone, but the sound was good. The venue was pretty tight. There was an early show before us. They had two separate shows, and they were doing haunting renditions of pop songs and like 80s songs.
Okay, give me
an
an
it was
example.
Friday the 13th. Like,
okay.
Boom, did you bone, da bang, da bang, dee 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 dee. Like, just really strange, dude.
That song that Kid Rock ripped off for the Bot?
Yeah. And then
cool.
So a bunch of the musicians flew in from New York for it. Like, the MD works for the Tonight Show. It was odd. And then they had this guest artist, Alaska Thunderfuck, who is a transsexual artist who things like that.
Oh God!
And I'm waiting to do a sound check because I was told to get there at 5 p.m. so I could load in and get the lines checked. And we have backing tracks and the in-ears, so like it's always every venue is a little different with the way they approach that. So I need to get that shit dialed in, right?
Right. And when were you guys supposed to hit the stage?
Not till 11:30 p.m.
5?
Yeah.
5? That's fucking ridiculous.
So that was kind of crazy.
Oh my God.
But it's because there were two different shows and they wanted to get everything done so that it'd be an easy switch over between the two shows. And I didn't care because I could come home in between, right? But they get all sound checked. They got strings. It's like the band's actually pretty tight. They sounded great. But they got dialed in, and then they just start rehearsing. And I'm there just like, and had Sean come so we can get his bass dialed in. And we're just sitting there while these people are rehearsing. I'm like, what? This is not a rehearsal. This was a sound check, and that's it. And then they get done, and then Alaska shows up, and it's just her and a keyboard player. Why did they have to run through their song? And Sean had to leave the room. He was about to laugh because she's like 6'2", 6'3", and I like that kind of shit.
I'm Googling this person right now.
You'll be surprised to find out that she has like 3.5 million plays on a song on Spotify.
Oh my God. That's the state of modern music, people. Yep. Cash Me Outside in Alaska Thunderfuck.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was a little frustrating. And then we finally, doors were about to open for the first show, and we thankfully got our tracks set up, but there was not much room on the stage. It was pretty much useless that we were there. So that was a frustrating start to this night. But then, but by the time we hit the stage, everything sounded good, and our people were there. I think we delivered a pretty tight-ass show. And from everybody who was at the album release show, too, they said the sound was way better at Satellite than at Fey Dodo.
I thought the sound was great at Fey Dodo.
I think it depended on where you were in the room.
Oh, my God. Her album is called Pound Cake. This is pretty funny. Oh, my God. Whoa. Oh.
That. Sorry.
Yeah, that's the only appropriate reaction.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
So that was like to be taken serious for a sound check, but instead of just sound check, it was a rehearsal that we had to just be there for. And it's like in a room full of people who are like having a good time. Like I could see the entertainment value, right? But to watch the sound check / rehearsal is just beyond strange, you know?
Yeah, no, that's bad form, Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a quick way to get other bands to hate you. And obviously there's a social currency among bands in LA where if people like you, then you're, that much more likely to succeed because they'll have you on for shows.
Yep.
And I'm sure if you have a slot that you just can't fill and you're between a rock and a hard place and it's either, well, have an open slot in a show and not find anybody or hire Alaska Thunderfuck, I think you're just not going to have anybody perform, unfortunately.
Or you just hire her because she has a pretty big following.
Yeah, I mean,
get those ticket sales.
I wouldn't pay to go see her, but if she was playing in my neighborhood, I would. Yeah, I'd go watch.
It's a shit show. It's definitely entertaining. And then we've got our next show is May 16th at 3 Clubs. Have you been there? On Vine?
To 3 different clubs.
No, it's called 3 Clubs.
No, I haven't been there.
It's a pretty tight spot. That was like
Hollywood?
Yeah, that was Sean and I's like first hangout spot when we moved here, like almost 3 years ago now. And so we're pretty pumped about that. And then we just booked another one on June 17th at Resident, downtown LA.
Oh, cool. Right on, that's good. And you guys are going to Canada?
Canada in July. We're going to Florida at the end of May too.
Nice. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah,
making the rounds
before it's too hot.
Yep.
Cool. Very good. Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't make the show. I ended up closing on Friday night. I made pretty much my rent in an evening, so
that doesn't hurt.
Had to hustle and get the money. Let me see what people are saying on the chat.
Take a look. But yeah, man, dude, it's been a crazy because we had the Satellite show, and then on Saturday, Sean and I were doing pickups for all this equipment because we were filming a video on Sunday. And so we had to get all this rental equipment and props and all that kind of shit. And then I played at Billy's in Newport on Saturday night.
How's that?
Fantastic, as always. Just a
I like that place.
Time.
Man. Yeah, that when I went there to see you that one time, there was a strange connection with me in that place. As I was sipping my glass of Don Julio Reposado, I was looking around there. I see all these men with beer guts and Tommy Bahama shirts. And I'm looking there and I'm like, this is my future.
Yeah.
This is my destiny.
That's it.
I'm going to move to Newport Beach. I'm going to be like a total like Jimmy Buffett parrot head. and I'm just gonna drink Don Julio Reposado with lime juice,
Yep.
and just sit there and watch young people play and just make requests and put $100 bills in your jar.
It's the way to go.
Yeah.
And
Anyway.
then so then Sunday morning though was our shoot, which we rented out a space downtown and we did a whole video shoot for Ivory Tower. And
Nice.
so I got up hella early because I couldn't sleep because I was like kind of getting stressed out about did I have everything? Was my car going to be packed properly, et cetera, you know? Mm-hmm. So I got up at 4:30 for that, and then worked, did that shoot all day, and then I played Masters Beverly Hills that night.
Wow. That's
So that was
that's hustling.
That was a
baby.
hell of a weekend.
Yeah, that's hustling. Nice, man. That's
Yeah,
good. Got Shelly Houston Beck.
Oh, my cuz.
Yeah, commented with the Canadian flag.
Yep. Yeah, they're up in Canada, or they're actually she's in California, but they're Canadian family though.
Ah, that's what's up. Well, you'll be pleased to know we are both Canadians. Are you a dual citizen?
Yep.
I'm a dual citizen.
Yep.
Yup. Yeah, let's see. What else? That's good that so music video turned out all right?
Yes, I mean we
The-
got all,
the shooting.
We got all the footage. We're gonna hire an editor though because we're doing a lot in reverse, and it's 4K, so we need someone with pretty heavy computing power.
Yeah, I hear you. And how much were the strippers? Did they do an hourly rate or was it just flat for the shoot?
Just lunch.
Just lunch.
Yeah,
Just lunch.
there's some hungry people out there,
Wow. Look at that.
but lunch was good. It was high quality artisan tacos.
Huh.
Yeah.
Very nice. That's just lovely. Well, while you were there busting your ass and hustling and making things happen, I decided to take a mini vacation down to San Diego.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, which is nice. And just for a reference here, I had an easier time getting from Los Angeles all the way to San Diego, like 100 plus miles on the highway, than I did getting from my apartment to the highway.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took me about an hour to get from my apartment in Santa Monica just to the highway, and like, I don't know, an hour and a half to get like 100 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah. San Diego's cool though. I like it. I visited my buddy Matt Hassel down there.
Oh, he's down there now?
Yeah. He lives down there with his girlfriend, and we went to a Padres game
Nice.
at Petco Park. It's cool, man. It's super cool. And we watched batting practice and all that, and we had hot dogs and drank beer. And it was good, man.
Dude,
I like baseball.
I love that town.
San Diego's cool. Yeah.
It's super walkable, surrounded by beaches, so like you could live downtown and feel like you have the metropolis thing going.
Yep.
And then just go to the beach.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, San Diego as a municipality gets the coveted Hollywood Hustle seal of approval,
Yep.
I think. Yeah.
And to the mayor, we'd like some keys.
Yeah, and a ribbon cutting ceremony. Give us your city.
Yes. For me.
Anyway, but I like San Diego, but I couldn't live there now. I'm too addicted to the hustle. And then we would have to do a podcast where we Skype our phone or something. It's just not the same.
There's this part of me that really over romanticizes it. Probably I'm like, I could live in San Diego. I could live in Pacific Beach, like 7 blocks from the ocean.
Sweet.
In a 3-bedroom house for $1,500, and I could still gig in Orange County, and I could still pick up gigs in San Diego, and I could just have a fucking garage out back that's an amazing studio that I just am working in all the time, but I don't even have to work. I don't have to play that many gigs because rent is so cheap, and I could be at the beach and just kind of loving life. That does come into my stratosphere pretty frequently, where I'm like, oh man, that sounds pretty nice.
Sure, I don't blame you. But
more shit's going on here, man.
Yep.
And stuff's been really getting exciting with the promotion of the album, and people are really digging it. Getting reviews by people at Universal and all this shit, and the feedback is all super good. So
That's good.
not going to go into too many deets, but it's exciting.
Hey, if you want the details, that's behind the paywall. You got to Venmo us $500 each, and then Jordan will tell you what Universal said about his record.
Yep. But yeah, dude. And then what else is going on? I think you want to talk about the songs of the week.
Sure. We can go ahead and start with Tame Impala.
Yeah.
Because my memory is shot. I forget the name of the track, but it was
It's
The Less I Know
Yeah.
or something.
The less I know, the better.
The less I know, the better, yeah. Okay, Tame Impala. So I came upon them, and this is obviously what you guys would like to do, and it's I think the toughest game. It's easier to get gigs and get this shit going, but placement, right?
Yeah.
And what a great way to reach an audience and to get paid for it and to get residuals. Like that is the ultimate goal, right? So I was going to Bonnaroo in like 2011 with a buddy of mine and his wife, and I saw Tame Impala was there. My buddy Doug DeJong, is probably watching. What's up, Doug? Yeah. And he was telling me about this band Tame Impala. They're super cool. Singer sounds like John Lennon, but they got that Pink Floyd thing, but not. They're modern. They're awesome. And I was watching, I think, a Verizon commercial, and they used that song Elephant. What a great tune.
Perfect for placement, too.
Oh, perfect for placement. Totally gets stuck in your head. And kind of my qualm with rock and roll is like, there's really not too much left to do. Like, you're not going to hear a new sounding song. That's a new sounding song. I'd never heard anything that used a boom, ba boom, ba boom, ba boom, that used that rhythmically like that.
Well, and then with a psychedelic vocal on top, like
Yeah.
it's the blend is what makes it so unique.
Exactly.
Each element is not unique on its own, but the way they put it together is incredible.
Right. So the mastermind behind Tame Impala is Kevin Parker.
Yes.
Formerly of the great Australian band Pond, which I got to show you when we're done, a song by Pond. It's a monster
Nice.
tune. Yeah. But then he went out and formed Tame Impala on his own, and they're one of the biggest rock bands in the world. I mean, he's graced the cover of Rolling Stone and all that. And yeah, I saw them at Bonnaroo. They're freaking excellent. So the song that you sent me, I really like it. Again, he finds these like unique little repeating grooves and stuff. And the production quality is pristine.
Boom, 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 boom,
Yeah, a lot, you know, a lot of the slidey things. He finds that way. I mean, he truly gets it. How to groove, how to make somebody feel what is in his mind musically. You sickos, and great tune.
Feel it.
Yeah,
Dude, and did you watch the video?
I was gonna say something about that too. It was the basketball cunnilingus thing.
Dude.
What?
What's great about the video is the color scheme and the way they use the paint, and then just also just making her vagina the magical thing that he's just like enthralled by, and he throws away his life for. Like
That's not a direct depiction of reality.
yeah, like he could have been the basketball star, but he chose to eat her out instead, and his life was changed forever.
I want to be in the boardroom or wherever they're talking about these things one day. We've got like the crazy wild-eyed British guy that's like the world-renowned music video director. And he's like, now we're going to Americanize video with basketball. I see basketballs and vaginas. Basketballs and vaginas,
And
yes.
gorillas.
And gorillas? Gorillas.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're going to put it all in a blender and ejaculate it out onto a film screen.
With colors and paint and all things magical. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, but I love the video too. I think just Tame Impala really pretty much always hits. Like
Yeah, they're so fly.
And I was in Perth and I didn't realize that he's from Perth. And that was pretty interesting, dude. Perth is a cool ass town, and I could see why there'd be a lot of creative shit that came out of Perth, because it's like the town just has live music everywhere. It's kind of like Fremantle or they call it Frio. It's like the neighborhood that's like super old looking and hip, and it feels like you're in some
Brooklyn?
without any tall buildings at all.
Okay.
But it's wild, dude. And there's just music everywhere. Food's great. There's markets, outdoor markets, indoor markets, and it's just everybody's just walking around, and that's where he's from.
Yeah. Nah, dude, Australia is super cool. I know you've been. I haven't been yet, but I know the nation of Australia. They're a huge fan of the podcast, big supporters financially and everything. So big thanks to Australia. I got lunch with the Prime Minister sometime in the future, so I'll make sure to tell her in person.
And then you sent me Albert King
Yeah.
and Stevie Ray Vaughan doing Born Under a Bad Sign.
Oh yeah. Live.
So epic, dude. I mean, first off, that has to be one of the most covered songs ever, right?
Yeah. But that's an Albert King original. He's
Yeah.
the one that wrote it. Yeah.
But to hear him do his thing and like to hear the way he plays guitar against Stevie, like that back and forth, and just to hear the contrast between their styles, Albert's really fucking good. Like,
But he isn't at the same time.
yeah, but
Yeah.
it's so distinct, and it's like you can tell, and he's referenced all the time for like influencing all the greats, you know?
Oh yeah. Like John Mayer's a huge Albert King fan. That's
Yeah.
one of the more redeeming factors about John Mayer.
Yeah. But dude, Albert King is sick, and then Stevie's solos are incredible, and then it just, you know, it's like what 7.5 minutes of just awesome. So,
Oh yeah.
So I just am enjoying, like, I don't even care about the verses. It's that vibe. It just it comes through the fingers, man. It's incredible.
Yeah, no, it's great. It was a live in studio show that they did. It was Stevie Ray, Albert King, a bass player and a drummer, and they did all their hits. Stevie Ray did Texas Flood, and I mean it's just brilliant. Albert King plays a flying V, upside down and backwards, and I heard, Laura, that his amplifier, like he couldn't get a tube amp, or like he couldn't afford or didn't want to spend money on a tube amp because he would cut into that barbecue money.
Yeah.
And that rib money. And so what he would do is he'd put a solid state amp with a box over it, like a cardboard box facing in to get the tube sound.
Oh my god.
Yeah. No, he's great. And the cool thing about that show is they have a bunch of banter in between songs, because Albert King was obviously a huge influence on Stevie Ray Vaughan, God rest his soul. And Albert King would talk about like when Stevie Ray Vaughan was young, but you can hardly understand anything that either of them are saying because they're talking in blues jive, you know? And like Stevie Ray Vaughan's just giggling like a child. I mean, it's just super cool to see those two superstars jamming on like the real blues.
Can you do your best Albert King right now?
Okay. I'm an actor, right? So I might get called up one day to play a 6'5" black bluesman.
Yep.
Now I remember when Stevie would come down to Austin, I'd be playing. They say, "Hey, you let Stevie on stage." I say, "Stevie who?" And he come up, he hit a few licks, and he'd stand in the back. I say, "Stevie, what the fuck you doing? Get up there, boy. You play. And so, you know, I go and do my thing, come back down to Austin, and, you know, they'd say, "Oh, Stevie's here." I say, "Oh, Stevie, man, you go get him on stage." And, you know, I thought you were going to be bad, but not bad you were out here. You know, you bad. And then Stevie Ray's just like, hey, he sounds like he's speaking fucking Japanese. I'm like, you know. So there you go, guys. That's your entertainment for the day. That's my Academy Award winning performance
good.
of Albert King.
It's pretty good, but it reminds me of every single person I talked to in New Orleans. Just all combined into one.
Yeah. I know. I drew a little in preparation for the role. I drew a little inspiration from the Creole, a little inspiration from the Southern African American, a little inspiration from the the Northern
Chicago.
urban,
Yeah.
a little Chicago. Yeah.
Where's Albert from?
He is from, I think, Texas.
Oh, he's a Texan.
I think so. And when he died, it was pretty tragic, but he was driving around with like this hoochie mama, and he had a heart attack, and he was wearing like, you know, a big gold chain and sunglasses and rings and stuff, and she's jacked all of his all of his ice or whatever, all of his jewelry, and left. And apparently the coroner said like he probably could have been saved if she would have just drove him to the hospital.
Oh my god.
Yeah. No, I liked him, man. He's got so much good shit.
Yep. He's dope.
Yeah.
Dude, and okay, you ever watch that show Sonic Highways? That was about the making of the Foo Fighter album?
Yeah, I was going to say, sounds like something Dave Grohl would do.
Dude. If you haven't seen it, it's one of the best series I've ever watched, because they go to different towns in America, different cities, and they get with the local artists, the local studio, and they have all these stories about the artists from these towns, and then he gets with them and he writes a song based on what he learns about the town.
That's cool.
And then they record it, and that's what the whole album was: 10 songs, 10 cities, or 8 or something. And when they were in Chicago, there's obviously a ton of Buddy Guy stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
And I learned about Buddy Guy that he taught himself guitar on a guitar that he built with one string. That's how he learned how to play.
God, those guys are so awesome.
Isn't that incredible? Like, and then to go from that to be, like, to move to the Strat and be like one of the best blues guitarists of all time.
Yeah, I feel bad. I learned on a pristine, perfect American Stratocaster with a Marshall tube amp. God.
Yep. Privilege.
Yeah. I still have that guitar too. It's a good Strat. But yeah, man, Buddy Guy, all those blue guys are awesome. Albert Collins, you ever seen that guy play?
Yep.
Yeah, and he'd have a capo on like the 7th fret and plays with his fingers,
and
like
still,
pinches it.
and still bend and shit. Like,
Oh yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, no, I mean those guys are in a league of their own. But it's kind of weird. There's this band that Matt Hassel showed me. He's like, they're getting a lot of flack 'cause they sound exactly like Led Zeppelin. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
It's like Greta Van something or other, and they sound exactly like total rip-off times 10 of Led Zeppelin, like making not only Led Zeppelin sounding songs, but the guitar player, his tone sounds like Jimmy Page, his riffs are Jimmy Page. The drummer for the coming into the song is like the classic like John Bonham lead in, and then the lead singer is like, oh mama, oh, like all the Robert Plant shit, and it's like, man, like this is yeah, exactly. And like this is the recycling of rock and roll, and it's like I'm not knocking that band for what they're doing. Like if I was in a band that sounded exactly like Led Zeppelin, You're
doing something right.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like I think that's why people are kind of getting bored with rock, because it's like that's not exciting to me. If I want to listen to Led Zeppelin, I'll listen to Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, dude, rock is a tough thing. I mean, that's why like bands like Royal Blood have been so successful, because they changed the outfit, even though they stole it from another band I can't remember right now. But the bass that sounds like bass and guitar, drummer, and that's it. Yeah, but it's not that exciting. And then all the really, really good rock bands that are still making rock they've been doing it for 15, 20 years, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I was having this conversation with someone. I was like, well, what contemporary rock bands are still like making great music? I mean, Alice in Chains, but they're a holdover from the 90s. They were like one of the biggest grunge bands of all time.
Queens
of Stone Age are doing good. I do not like their new single. I think they're selling pretty hard.
Which one?
On that one.
The Way You Used to Do?
Yeah, I don't like it. It's too... It sounds like the Charleston. And like I get that same vibe. It's too like swingy.
He said he starts every single day. He puts on a Frank Sinatra record, and
he would do that, and does his pompadour and smokes a cigarette.
Him and his wife that's how they start the day. And that's what inspired the song, was the fact that it's that swing. And he's like, I really want to have a swing song.
Whatever. I mean, Josh Homme probably wouldn't like me much anyway, so I don't really give a shit.
No, I mean,
but I think, first of all, let me say this as a quick disclaimer: that guy's awesome. I freaking love everything Queens of the Stone Age has done for the most part. But I hear that song, and they're like really becoming like the it band, like they're the new Foo Fighters. It's like, listen to this. Everyone's pushing that on you. And I liked them when they were doing Songs for the Deaf, which they named that album because they thought that they made this amazingly great record and it was going to fall on deaf ears. Nobody was going to buy it or listen to it.
Yep.
And to me, that's one of the more iconic contemporary rock albums.
Well, it's one of the last concept albums that was made, too.
What a great concept album, too. Man, that record is such a masterpiece.
But my favorite of theirs is the last one, Like Clockwork.
Mm-hmm.
That record's a masterpiece. I love that. Like, so many different vibes, so much psychedelia, so much groove. Like, it's pretty perfect to me.
Yeah. I mean, Josh Homme's, in my opinion, a genius, and I think he has one of the best voices in rock music. I love his vocals. Yeah, but it's funny. Him and Brody Dalle start the day by listening like, You're flying high in May and shot down in June. And he's just like, oh, that's interesting.
Well, he said you can't help but feel good, you know, when
True.
you put that on.
Yeah, I'm going to listen to some Frank Sinatra on the way home. Josh Homme, I know you're watching, I know you're listening. And, I didn't mean anything by it. I'm just trying to be objective, run a program with integrity here.
Yep.
But maybe I'll listen to some Sinatra on the way home. Okay? And I'll buy your record or something. Call it even.
Dope.
Yeah. Let's see. What else? Yeah. Do you want to do a story time?
Sure. Go for it. You got something?
Yeah, I mean, this isn't that crazy, but it's just an interesting thing that comes out of playing music. So I remember I went up to Canada for something, and my mom's brother was like, oh, this is I don't know, like 4 or 5 years ago. He was like, oh, I hear you're playing some music and everything. Let's go out to like a karaoke bar or something. I'm going to make you go up there and sing. I'm like, all right, whatever. So yeah, this karaoke bar with my uncle, and I sing Roadhouse Blues, and I get really into it. It was with a live band, and it was awesome. Like it was really, really cool. I was like walking on tables and stuff and really getting into my Jim Morrison. And so he's like, wow, like I didn't think you were going to have the guts to do that, let alone do it well. You should think about maybe playing some gigs up here. I could probably book you some gigs. So make a long story short, Max and I were back there in like 3 weeks, and he had booked us a 2-week, 14-day, 16-date tour.
Whoa.
All throughout Manitoba. And so our first stop, we get to Canada, and Max had never seen snow, I don't think. And we get to Canada in mid-November, and it is minus like 20. So we get there, and it's cold as shit. But our first stop was Churchill. That is, I don't know, like a couple 100 miles north, literally on the coast of the Arctic Ocean. And it's like minus 40 there. So we go up there, and we end up playing right in this town where the significance of it is polar bears migrate through there as the ocean freezes over, and they make it back up to I assume the North Pole or somewhere. And so my uncle managed to get, he heard that the Smithsonian Channel was filming like a nature type show documenting the polar bears traveling, but kind of intertwined with the lives of the people that lived in Churchill. And so he found a way to contact the producer and tell him that this rock band is coming up from Florida. So we were like followed around for 3 days by this camera crew and like mic'd up and everything. And they filmed all our shows and stuff. And it was super cool. That's so sick. Yeah. And the first day we got there, we looked at the Arctic Ocean. There were waves rolling in. The second day we wake up, it's frozen over for 50 miles. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And then so we went out on this polar bear tour, and it was minus 55.
Get the fuck out of here.
Minus 55.
Oh, my God.
It's fucking cold, dude. It was cold.
Oh.
It was cool. I mean, we were in these cars, and like polar bears were like climbing right up to the windows and shit, and like climbing on the car. And those aren't anything to fuck with. They're the biggest land predator.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Dude, that's pretty tight though.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was all paid. We were flying up there and flown up there. And
flied me, boy.
Yeah. I just created a new word. You heard it here first.
Yep.
Yeah, but it was super cool. So that, rock and roll, we'll open some doors for you. That was fun.
The story that came to mind for me is, I'm sure you've got a couple of these, but this is by far my worst one, is being too under the influence at a gig.
Okay.
At the mercy of people buying you constant liquor.
Yeah, it happens.
So I was playing a show in Baltimore, and it was my last gig at this particular venue before moving out here. Elise came up with me, and I usually have like two, 3 whiskeys, especially if I know I don't have to drive, which I didn't because we were staying in a hotel right there. No problem at all. Like that's actually the sweet spot. And so I did that, but then the party got insane, and I'm playing Backstreet Boys, I'm playing whatever these chicks want to hear, right? And they're just sending up every type of liquor to the stage. I don't even know what I'm getting. I'm just doing it. And it's like I'm telling everybody to fuck themselves in a fun way, you know, like, yeah, fuck you, because it's Baltimore and they're all about that, you know, it's that brotherly love type of thing.
Sure.
And we're having so much fun, and the show seems to be going well. Everybody in this place is losing their shit. And it's just me up there with my guitar, right?
Nice.
And then I play my last note, and then reality sets in that I'm just obliterated, and I have to put my guitar down and immediately run to the bathroom to start hurling. Like, the second I stop playing, it's like, oh God, what have I done? And I run to the bathroom, and I just am. It's exiting at a pace that is like an exorcism, and I'm in there. Elise is like watching all my equipment and on my tips, and everybody's hammered. Baltimore is just a hammered place, and fortunately, Elise packs up all my equipment for me, puts it in my car while I'm still like in the bathroom. I come out just to like make it seem like I'm not dead, you know. And I'm like doing my thing, and I'm like, oh yeah. And then I got to go back to the bathroom, hurl some more, keep hurling. Elise brings me like some cold French fries to try to eat. And I'm like, can't eat them. Somehow she got all the gear in my car. We get in. She's driving. I'm navigating us to the hotel, which is not far, but she had to drive. And then I'm puking out the window. I forgot to get paid. It was awful, and I learned my lesson that day, that it's just, no matter how fun or good the show is going, you still have to, like, do other shit besides just be a drunk performer, you know? So it's, as tempting as it is to completely succumb to that, don't do it.
Yeah, now that's the worst, is putting away your gear when you're fucked up. I remember Max and I, we used to, so we have a friend in South Florida, Chris Rotella, who owns a e-cigarette and vapor store / venue called Las Olas Vapors, like right on Las Olas, really cool location. And so they would have these promo parties, and like they've got like Peroni beer to sponsor it and stuff. Like they were super cool. Like they'd throw these huge parties, this little storefront, and they would have us play at the parties. And it was like all the people I knew from high school and from the neighborhood, and you know, from hanging out, and it was just a grand time. But we would play the show and then hang out and like smoke and chill till like 3 a.m, you know. And I remember we played a show, and like everyone was just getting like totally hammered, totally wasted, smoking all kinds of things. And then it was like 2 a.m. It was like, oh fuck, we gotta put all this shit away, and like the cables and carrying shit to the car and all this, that, and the other. And I mean, like, at that point, obviously I wasn't driving, but like just like putting all this shit away. I hate that. So that's what another theory I have is that people, like, you know, when do you think you've made it? You know, like when have you made it? When you're a true pro, is it an amount of money? Is it playing in front of thousands of people? Is it a record deal? No, man. It's when somebody sets up and breaks down your shit. That's when you've made it, in my opinion.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Anyway.
Dude, yeah. Be careful out there, people. Don't get too caught in the moment, because it's fun as hell. But you're still on the job. And even though part of the job is being fun, gotta shut it down. That was really quite a low point.
Yeah, I mean, I remember we lost a gig. We lost a good gig at JB's in Deerfield Beach. And we used to rock that place out. We'd bring a lot of people too. Those were super fun shows. And they got upset because we were too rowdy. So, yeah, that would have been nice. But it's cool. I mean, you know, that's what people want to see at the beach, instead of two hot, young, sexy, talented young men ripping, you know, Skinner tunes and slamming tequila shots. You want that old fucker who's playing Changes in Latitudes in sandals.
Wasting away again in
Margaritaville.
Oh God.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, you can keep it. You guys aren't really known for your live music anymore. Yep. Anyways, yeah, so they don't sponsor the show, so they can go to hell.
Yeah, they can just shove it.
Yep. Anyway, well, Do you have anything else to say?
Pretty much just that I think I'm the best at everything and that you are also. So like between the two of us being the best at the things that we do, it's just kind of, it's insane. And humbleness is just not even necessary because we're at this level of aptitude that is just beyond measure. So that's all I have to say.
Finally, someone said it. I mean, humility is the first step towards failure. Okay? That is a quote from former President Jimmy Carter.
Yep.
Humility equals failure, which equals death. So basically, humility is like shooting drugs. So
You might as well be doing heroin. And being humble is the same as heroin. There you go.
Yep. Anyway, we didn't mean any of that. So thanks again to everybody that watched for putting up with our shit for another hour. And we're going to do this again. And I'd like to do more. I'd like to do more of this because I see these podcasts and these shows on YouTube and they do it every day. So there's only so much content that they can have. But dude, they just talk about the dumbest shit. And they talk about fucking Bitcoin for a half hour. And like, they have millions of viewers and subscribers and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. So
We'll get it going. I know the plan is to definitely expand from our Facebook platform and try to get it out on a more public sphere.
yeah, we're starting a policy of aggressive expansion. We're looking to steal everybody's fans. So
Yep.
yeah. And then for those of you that did watch this first episode, when we do make our first million, we'll cut y'all in on it. We'll give you like, I don't know, $3 each or something.
Oh, I was going to say like at least 50 cents, but you know.
Yeah. Well, at least 50 cents up to $3
Yeah.
in a government issued bond. So
it starts off at about 0.5 cents, like half a cent. And then if you hold on to it for 10 years, it will grow to $3.
yeah, well, you know, do a load of laundry on us at the Hollywood Hustle.
Yep.
All right, kids. Have a good weekend. Remember, you know, you need to smoke your stuff, but don't drive, all right? Take a nice walk.
Yep. Happy 420.
See ya.